Stan Gibilisco here, proprietor and operator of amateur radio station W1GV, Whiskey 1 Good Vibrations, coming at you from the Nerd Cave, July 3rd, 2014, at about 3 o'clock p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. I just read on one of the local blogs here in South Dakota about someone in southwestern Minnesota who was texting while driving, checking their bank balance on their mobile phone, evidently, swerved a little bit and struck a woman riding a bicycle with her two kids, killed the woman, evidently. Now here's the rub. There's some texting and driving bans going into effect around the country because it would seem adults, full-grown adults, have to be told what to do with the force of law when it comes to common sense. Now, insofar as cell phones go, the only cell phone I have is a little thing called a track phone. It's 10 years old. I have to test it every month. I have to remember to test it every month, because that's about as often as I use it, except when I'm traveling, and then never, ever while driving. I have done it while parked in my truck, big number 8, but never while the vehicle was in motion. And I also have a mobile ham radio in my truck. And this incident has given rise to some very serious consideration about how much I want to try and manipulate that ham radio while driving. I don't know what the texting laws say about ham radio equipment specifically, but I guess when it comes to common sense, there are certain things I can do with that radio while driving and certain things I can't do. If I set the radio to receive on a particular band, say 20 meters, and I've got everything set up, and I've done that while the vehicle was stopped, and you have to do that kind of thing while the vehicle is stopped because it's a programmable radio, and you've got to look over there and punch all the buttons and navigate all the menus and everything, and squint at a display that's nowhere near the road. So I don't do that while the vehicle is in motion. But if I'm driving along and I can tune the tuning dial with one hand while driving with the other hand, it doesn't seem like it's any more difficult or complicated than manipulating the vehicle's radio or CD player or MP3 player or whatever I happen to be using. Doesn't seem any more complicated than that. On the other hand, how badly do I want to listen to those signals on 20 meters? Badly enough to kill a woman on a bicycle riding down the highway with her two kids? I don't think so. So I think common sense has to play a role when it comes to using the ham radio while driving, while in motion. I have that mobile radio installed in my truck, big number 8, primarily for emergency communication in the event I get stranded somewhere. Well, wouldn't it be a horrible irony if I were using a radio intended primarily for emergency communication, and in the act of using that radio in a non-emergency situation, I created a sudden and dramatic emergency which could alter the lives of dozens of people forevermore? I don't think so. So I think maybe common sense, I don't know. Can you legislate it? I don't know. It's a pity that we feel as if we have to legislate it. But evidently human nature is such. Bank balances are apparently on the spur of the moment in our transient minds, and those little thingies in between our ears occasionally attains a level of importance exceeding that of human life itself. Pity. I don't want that to happen to me, so I'm going to think a lot more before I fool around with that ham radio in my truck. If there's an emergency, I'll stop the truck and use the radio while the truck is stopped, out of the way of any ongoing drivers who might happen to be checking their bank balance. Stan Gibilisco, W1GV, Whiskey 1 Good Vibrations, signing off from the Nerd Cave. Until next time, 73 and so long.